This has been a wild ride. People stealing my name, making money off my fame, off my likeness, without my permission, having my shit being monitored for no reason, except for a bunch of bigots wanting to trying to bullshit me. This has been not a fun thing at all, especially for someone who is as private as I am. So, where am I going to start? Oh, I'd like to congratulate all those persons who have made it into the House of Representatives and or the Senate. Apparently, the youth showed up. I haven't really looked at the results. I have no idea what they are, except for that Miss Abrams lost her bid to Mr. Brian Kemp, with probably a great deal of help of voter suppression, and also not so much help from Miss Tiffany Cross, because she was always her and her infinite lack of wisdom kept undercutting everything I was doing. But she will have hers coming soon as I further down the line. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Sometimes when I write things down, I'm just like, okay, what's the brain thinking at this moment? And yeah, yeah, that's a tough one. Basically, black Americans don't have the moral fiber to stop World War III, essentially. That's the first line on this one. Like, wasn't that cute? I was a little, I was upset. And, then I was like, nope. Yeah, double checking. Yep. And mainly it was that whole thing of, oh, Mr. Jay Z setting Mr. Mick mad. Tell me, oh, sit down, you do what you told. I'm like, oh, hell no, I don't. You've got to be, yeah, yeah, right. That's funny. Anywho, as I stated in my written statements on my Facebook page, um, who the hell do you think you are getting in the middle of my business? Yeah. See, and then you have your little assassin that was down, leaving down beneath me, have it come up and instead of saying thank you when I gave him a book about trading, he just thinks like he was all acting like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. Let me explain to you, little punk. Everything you make, if you don't give half it away, we will destroy you. If you took the contract to have a royal assassinated, I mean, oh hell no. Because he was saying, oh, you must be connected. I was like, wow. Because when I asked him, I said, I thought you were sent here to assassinate me. Of course, he couldn't answer that. So I was like, okay, so you were. And that was the day that I blocked Miss Holly Adams. So I'm not even sure if that was Mr. Briscoe, because if that is Mr. Briscoe, well, because I only saw him at night. Couldn't really get a full picture of him, because if that it was Mr. Briscoe, well, it won't matter because he's a dead man walking. Period. The end. But I'll get back to that a little later. So you see, Mr. Jay Z is trying to get himself some power and stuff, thinking that look for his handlers. Oh, he's the king, black American. He's the king, HNIG, right? I think that's oh, NHNIC. Oh yeah, ain't that hilarious? I don't think so. At least not over my life. You can be over everybody else's, but not over my damn life. That is my what they've done and what they did for you. But I'm not you, and you're not using and you've used my persona, my name, to your own benefit. You and Miss Kardashian. Just because I said I have no likes for you does not give you rights to make money over my name. And then you're gonna come back and say, "Well, just take this," and I'm like, I don't give a damn. But you will be giving me my money as I deem what is necessary, what is fair, not what you think. I just don't do that. I will look. I'll have somebody look at the books, and then I'll decide what your split is if I choose to do so. Especially after you try. It's like, oh, well, we didn't mean to. No, that's not how that works. You know, let me explain to you what is going to happen, what will happen over the next several days. Tomorrow, I'm going to call Mr. I'm going to call Don Rose. We're gonna have a little conversation. It's gonna be, hey Don, how you doing? How you doing? You're doing great, Oscar Radio. This is fine now. Yep, we're doing great. Good business, good. Yep, business is good. Short little conversation, and basically, I'm gonna be like, oh, at the end, I'm like, oh, I'm done. Where's that? Where's the lawyer? Give me a name to the lawyer so I can go have my money transferred to me. And then from that point, he's gonna say, yeah, this is it. Oh, cool. And I'm gonna see $10 million plus $200,000 from the DNC plus $3 million. 2 million will be 1 million will be sent to Miss Val Demings. 1 million will be sent to uh, Miss Stacey Abrams. And then we're waiting for to see what happens with Mr. Warnock. Mr. Warnock wins, well, then I keep my $1 million. And Mr. Warnock loses, well, then it'll be sent to him. And then the 10 million that just goes to me. Period. I would have split it with Don before, but no, shouldn't have stabbed me in the back, buddy. Besides, I assume you've made a ton of money off of the ALU and the especially with Miss Tiffany Cross, with her rabbling, you made off a good amount off of setting up her financial future. As she was stabbing everybody in the back because she was talking about being black and putting so much pressure on Mr. Tevin Samuels in this ether, she ended up between her and Kathleen Kennedy ended up, you know, using metaphysics to murder him. Because you couldn't have that voice. Couldn't have a black man who was not a gangbanger with a voice, especially black African American, generational. Because men in general, but black men in particular, are pretty much fucking fed up. The behavior of what women are pulling. I was watching this thing and woman says, well, we have a choice. I go, yes, you do, darling. You do have a choice. You're allowed to have that choice. Men have said, well, all right, freedom. You have the freedom. You have the ability to do what you wish. And please, that is so true. But so do we. We're not putting up with you fucking being just a royal piece of shit. Think you can throw your emotions all over the damn place, creating messes and calling people names and all this other crap. You have rights. Well, guess what? You also have responsibility. The thing about always doing your little triangulations and just screwing over the good guy, then guy's working his butt off doing what he has to do, trying to be part of society, and then going off and giving all the goodies to the jackasses. Nah, that shit ends. That shit ends. Even though you're gonna go through, even though you're gonna go through your little hoe phase, but you understand you have too much of a body count. You are now used goods, not worthy of our time, not worthy of our capital, and not damn sure not worthy of our love. We'll go do what we gotta go do. And you ain't gonna shame these men because why? Because you have fucked up. Now, it's mostly the lying that matters. It's not even maybe several whatever boyfriends or partners. It's all the lying and all the bullshit and all the assholery. And then I'm gonna just throw my emotions, and then you go have your man pick up the mess that you create. Oh no 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 no! You have freedoms, you have rights, therefore you have responsibilities. No more, none of that bullshit. We now have a scientific understanding of how that thinking goes. And in externalization of the externalized personality. That is the feminine. That is psychopathic and narcissistic and a bit borderline. That's why it's called a borderline. Having problems figuring out if the id's gonna actually grow. Now, of course, there's all these others, but for the moment, we're gonna keep our focus squarely on the cluster B because the damage that they do is it is shocking and frightening, terrifying. Here's Miss Kathleen Kennedy. Anytime I'm moving forward, she's putting out negative information, but unfortunately, she's putting out. So finally, it seems like people got the flipping message. We'll see how long that lasts because it's pathological. Meme demon within this vessel, within their vessels, it does what it does. It can't exist without others, and it feeds on death and blood and hatred and its own fear. But at this present time, you know, so Mr. Jay-Z, I need my money, or there will be or I will be suing you for devaluation of my brand value in multiples of what your present riches are. Now that little bit of 10 million, which is 13 million plus the 200,000 from the that you're going to pay on behalf of the DNC that I need in my account by tomorrow, and you're going to say it's not there. Now I'm going to go okie dokie, and I will sue you for multiples of loss of my brand value, which would be multiples of you and Mrs. Knowles' riches value. And you're going to say, well, it ain't going to mean nothing. It's going to take decades, years, generations. Doesn't matter. I will eventually win. Quitting is what other people do. And I am not other people. This whole thing about the gangbangers being the fucking mighty alpha of the United States of black men, that ends. Because the damage and the destruction you have done and the fact that it is done to you on purpose says it all. The world cannot have this any longer. Because that behavior has been emulated throughout the South America, Caribbean, and even Africa. Done to on purpose. So this changes. It must change. It has to change. Well, most of you think that this whole situation in Ukraine is okay. It's a localized situation. Oh, it is not. Thankfully, I don't know if thankfully or not thankfully, we'll see what happens because we're trying not to totally degrade Russia because if they're overly degraded, then that will just pop off more chaos. And Putin is doing a little. He's in a box and he doesn't want to admit it. And Prigozhin is sitting around licking his lips, smelling blood. Then you have the dude in Chechnya who's doing the same thing, who owes his power to Putin, and yeah, he's the same thing, all smelling blood. Blood's in the water, the sharks are circling. Putin cannot call up another 600,000 men to fight. He did his 300,000, and then he has his 300,000 of his personal private army, kind of. Then he has the 5th and 6th Directorate. They're not going to be able to continue holding this together. He keeps this up. Losing 100 men a day. 1,000 men a day. Whoa. Nope. For what? Oh, but they're from the east. They're the ones that look Chinese-ish. So maybe the Chinese will start rolling. It's like, oh, we got some Han Chinese. We need to go save and roll up through Mongolia up into Siberia to get to themselves that oil. Which means that Japan would then flip out and go, "Hey, we've been trying to get this, we're getting this island back since World War II. Well, we can't be letting you do that now." Or maybe then, but either way, there's blood in the water. And the sharks are circling. Desperate people do desperate sillinesses, and there is going to be some serious sillinesses coming down the pike, unless a few things happen within the next week or two. And even if those things happen, there's still a high chance that sillinesses will be coming down the pike, and there are evil people who wish for that silliness to happen at the expense of billions of lives. No longer billions of souls snuffed out for the evil of a few. And though they will then argue there is just way too many people, and I will tend to actually agree that we are unbalanced within the Earth sphere at this present time, but there are better ways than just slaughtering people wholesale. It was useful. It took two world wars to kind of get everything kind of squared away for about a century. But the mechanization and the ability to destroy each other is far, far, far more advanced than it was even in World War II. World War One is quite just 100 years ago, 105 years ago. 11th day of the 11th hour. That's tomorrow. Armistice Day. Of the 11th month. How many people you think are going to die as Putin slowly loses more and more? America looks weak right now. Split, divided. We're always bitching each other out, but this is completely different. Actually, it's the best time in the world for the black African American to finally go get those freedoms. Sure, right? Not so much freedoms. Step up to the responsibility of the freedoms that generations before have given to them, have fought for, which they always tend to fly in for the bamboozle and give it away. Poor people. So, Mr. Jay Z, oh yeah, I put yeah, House of Windsor. No, King Charles is the third. Eggs thrown him the other day, apparently. Oh, that's not well. From my perspective, it's like whatever. But from his perspective, that is very not good. Why? No one's perfect. No one's always going to love you. No one's always going to care about you always. But from a royal perspective, that is a terrifying prospect because it's not too much farther down the road before it quits being eggs. I said Prince Harry does not need my, since everyone's been stealing my shit. Because that's the whole thing about these things, these corporations. They were going to say, "Well, here, we're going to give you, steal this guy's ideas. We're going to put some cameras on him. We're going to do all this. Then we're going to assassinate him, and then give all this to Jay Z. And he's going to put that way. The dumb Negroes are going to try to be like Jay Z, a gangbanger, and end up like, keeping our prisons filled. What is it? How much does it cost? Keep those beds filled. What, $40,000 a year? What's that going on in Alabama? Where was one woman, some Caucasian dude comes out, kills this woman's kids. She's like, "Nope, you're never gonna get out." Falling right into prey hands of the prison industrial complex and of her bitterness. While I do understand, and everyone definitely understands her pain, to completely destroy everybody else's lives, that's not justice. Absolutely not justice. Because that is all the way out throughout the South. Then it institutionalizes the entire Black African American population to the South. Then you make the rich guy, the only super rich guy, or the main rich guy, as they would think, gangbanger. So then he gets to tell everybody, "Who you? Well, I'm gonna be in charge." No, I don't fucking think so. I didn't ask for your permission. I don't want your permission, and I'll take my money from you using my persona, but I damn sure don't want anything to do with you guys. It's not my lifestyle, not my give a fuck. As stated, Stacey Abrams was the most feared candidate by Brian Kemp because, well, he is a straight up Southern bigot. An externalized personality, IEP. Externalized personality. Now, there's nothing illegal about that, but you can definitely see that he knows he could not compete without all those shenanigans. How many thousands upon thousands of hundreds of thousands of people did he push off the voters' rolls legally, who were legally able to vote? And then they give some BS and then do a little shimmy dance. Oh, I don't understand. Oh, bless my heart. Flutter, 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 flutter. Motherfuckers. All because Mr. Manchin. Oh, Miss Cinema was a damn plant, so. But that's why she was put there. But Joe was like, well, I just couldn't sign for that because you know that you would actually be held accountable to the people. God forbid being held accountable to the people. God forbid not having to take money from large corporations. If corporations are people, they should not have a larger voice. Even though right now they just bought Hyde Park and they're going to be like, well, we're going to decide who can come in and out of Hyde Park. He starts picking up a little loud. We're going to have to pull that volume down a bit. Oh, you? Well, we're not so sure if you're you. Well, if you are you, if you can pay for a buck, then you're you. But if you can't pay us, then you're not you. So they're going to say, pay me for being you. So they're baiting you to pay them for their persona. Now, isn't that funny? That's brand theft. Brand theft. You have to pay them $8 a month plus the price of them controlling your voice. Plus, of course, it's going to go up every year. So they're stealing your brand persona. They're making money off your brand persona. Granted, they were already making money off your brand persona because that was the platform. But now the platform says, well, your brand belongs to us. Pay us for your brand. That's basically what that little $8 is saying is you're paying us to rent your name. Yeah. Oh, while Mr. Musk is going full fascist, because I'm pretty sure he gets to Mars, he's going to say, "Oh, I now own Mars. Mars is now mine." We need to make sure we get those treaties involved, and make sure that that little shit doesn't happen. That's his real reason. He's one of his real reasons. Yeah. Well, where he is now, maybe the kid part of him's lost, but being around other fascists, he has gone down the full fascist. He went with a haircut. They got the fasci. Yeah, the whole buzz with the flop side. That's called the fasci. It's what the Germans would wear during World War II. Mr. Richard Spencer and folks kind of made it all popular again, except on the wrong side. Granted, we always had this strain of, but it makes sense now that we understand human nature a lot better than we did back in the early hundreds, 1900s. But we'll see. We'll see. Because I need my money so I can get, and also I'm going to go pick up my vehicle. You know, down there at the Ford dealership. Yeah, yeah. So See, you see, Mr. Jay-Z, this is the Game of Thrones. Mr. Jay-Z, Mr. Rose, and Mr. Mick Madison. You know, that little. If you had just said, hey man, this is what we, if you kind of like, hey man, we got this, this is what we're going to do. And I would have said, no, maybe yes, but whatever. But it was more of like, you just need to sit down. You need to sit down and shut up. I'm like, oh, oh, you thought that politeness is weakness. Oops. Not the first one to find that. It's not what it means. So, you three, you interfere. You want to play the Game of Thrones, huh? Okie dokie. You're not terrified, so you're not playing it correctly. So let me explain to you something right now. I am trying to stop World War III. And that is not a bullshit. That is straight up as it is. So much so to the point where I had to put and he still is in danger. My own brother and his family. A man of royal blood. That's gonna freak you out because that means no matter what you do, how much money you make, you are considered of 2.5 billion people, always will be beneath him. That's just how that game over there plays. But since I sure as hell am not going to have that happen, well, I shouldn't say that, but if it does happen, let me explain to you something. You and your line, yes, that means Miss Beyonce as well. Miss Mick Madison, Don Rose, you and your line will cease to exist. For you have worked towards helping those who wish for a world war to commence. And as you well now know, this isn't a false or fake threat. It is very real. 3 commoners for 1 royal. He's still my big brother. No matter how much is what pain it has to do. Billions of people's lives will be lost. I figure about a 500 million for just in war itself, and another 1.5 billion in famine. All because you wanted to be a little nigger and show that you're the fucking king of whatever. What, skulls? Yeah. Just like the Mercers, the Princes, the Vosses, their lives end. World War III kicks off. There is truly a gun, and Miss Kathleen Kennedy, there truly is a gun pointed to their heads. Whether they like to hear that or not, I do not care. Or believe it or not, I do not care. There was a reason that they picked me, not just to do this job, but not just because of mostly because of what I didn't know about me, but and also because of what I had earned from my own works. So now, you don't get to live if World War III starts off because you will have purposefully, with your own ego, helped start it, not giving a damn about other people's lives. And I want my money because if you don't, you're starting it anyways. It's less than, what is it? You say you're a multi-billionaire, so that's less than 0.01% of your freaking said riches. 0.01% or bankruptcy. Doesn't bother me either way. because of the House of Windsor Falls. Either today or 10 years from now, because King Charles is an idiot, so to speak. I mean, he's not an idiot, but he has no idea. I mean, it's real. Diana was probably a pain in the butt, considering, she said, it's hard to have a marriage when you have three people and one of them's trying to rip you apart. So she never got to. So, as a dialectic, he dumped on her and gave all the positive to the person he should have been dumping on. So yeah, she was probably pretty cheeky. She didn't look down for all his bullshit, but yeah, it didn't help that he never got to actually truly meet her, to know her. Then he ended up hating her. Now he totally hates her. Yeah, tough. He should be hating the one that's with all the bitterness. But that is the tale of a situation that's still unfolding. It's funny how the proclivities of one person can affect so many. So, Miss Kennedy was trying to use my brand and trying to, well, we could make him like this. First, he has to be this, and then I don't think so, you evil little shit. So, as I said, there's now a gun at your head. Mr. Ty Briscoe is a dead man walking. First, for trying to, for sending his Sicario, so that was definitely a premeditated attempt on my life. And he was like, well, if I wanted to, no, you were just doing it because you couldn't get away with it, so to speak. It was a warning. Well, let me give you a little warning. There's no warning. You're a dead man walking, Mr. Briscoe. No matter what happens. See, true power is discreet. Enjoy your last days. It might be a day, might be a month, might be a year from now, but you will not live a natural born life. Now, I'm not saying that I would do this, of course, because that would be threatening to murder somebody, and I wouldn't do that. Then I'm pretty sure you probably won't live a natural born life. Nonetheless. Madison Orange. You are so trauma bonded. Let me explain something to you, ma'am. You have, until this situation is cleared up with Congress, next week or so. I take 2 or 3 weeks with the whole Trump thing and all the things that are about to fall out, to file that rape charge against Holly Adams, Jana Lewis, and Mr. Briscoe. Now, whatever Miss Kathleen Kennedy and Jay-Z said, it's null and void. Period. The end. You won't be able to get a gig and a toilet seat. And everything you do will be harassed, harangued, and everything you do will be destroyed and demolished. You have kids? I don't care. You didn't think, you didn't give a shit about me. I damn sure don't care about you. My sister has kids. Do you think the gangs and the cartels stop at one? Especially the Mexican cartels. Oh, now that they know who I am, oh, that's just too big of a target. Oh, they would go apeshit because they already control Mexico, and it's a fucking hell for the average person. because the elites are so damn bought out and they're pretty much candy asses. And that's what they want to turn America into. To use the words of Trump, who was actually helping turn it into a shithole country. So, no, you will do this, or you will pay the consequences. As I said, real power is discreet. You won't know why everything's going sideways, but it will be going sideways. Oh, now down to Miss Tiffany Cross. You and your little Miss Thang. Black women brought you to the table. They elevated you, had that conversation, made you a part of it, and all you can keep doing is throwing black men under the bus. You were thinking too much of yourself, and you were talking about, well, you shouldn't be if you were blah blah blah, not knowing a damn thing of what you didn't know a damn thing of. And no, you don't get to play. Well, I didn't know because you were sure hell going power forward like, oh, I did know. And yet here the black woman talking to you, trying to say, hey, little sister, you need to chill the fuck out. And you dealing, no, fuck that nigga. I'm this. I'm Queen Gangbanger. Well, ain't that cute? Do you think it was a coincidence that they did not renew your contract? A lot of these losses are on you. Granted, we were able to, the Democrats are able to hold on to the House, part of them, may hold on to the Senate, maybe not, who knows. May hold on, but lost the seats in the House. No, because you wanted to show your ass. That culture of playing each other instead of learning how to work with people. Your elders were like, yeah, I don't like this dude either, but hey, the dude's working for us. He's everything he's saying is making sense, and you should have listened to your elders. But so badly has the fractured and structured. The culture of Black America has been so purposely fractured, putting the lowest of you above the best of you. Oh hell no, can't have that no more. That's the most terrifying thing. If they're afraid of it, that's what I'm going to give them. That's what I have been given. So, Miss Tiffany Cross, let me explain something to you. You will never, if World War III pops off, now it might be cold or whatever. I do not care. Your kids will be allowed to reach it. You will. No, not even that. If you have kids, you will not. They will be removed. They will be removed from you. They might be moved someplace else, but they will be removed from you. And let me explain. You will serve. You will get to live, and you will serve as a reminder to all. Because you get to live, but you won't get to be. You won't get to have anything. As a reminder to what happens when you put yourself above others, when you have a responsibility. Especially when history calls you. History elevated you to do a job, and you did the exact fucking opposite of what you were supposed to do. Everything, and it wouldn't have been bad if it's like, oh, I disagree with him, but I see he's trying to do this. Okay, that's cool. That's called thoughtfulness. No, what you're doing was, oh, cut that nigger off at the knees. Who do he think he is? Blah 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 blah. Now you know who I am, and don't you forget it. You will live the rest of your days alone and ostracized. For the world will know if World War III breaks out, you were one of the ones who helped start it. and you'll serve as a cautionary tale that you showed cowardice when courage was needed. Miss Stacey Abrams, I shouldn't have listened to Miss Cross. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. We thank you. You did excellent work. Years of excellent work. But there is still more work to be done. You have two choices there. You can rather run for, well, three actually. You can run for the Senate or go back once again. You know, a winner never quits. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Fall down six, get up seven, fall down seven, get up eight, fall down eight, get up nine, fall down nine, get up 10, fall down 11, get up 12. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Or there's another choice to you. I will be needing you can raise you to power. You can take the place of where Mr. Rose was supposed to be. Yeah, but I'll still see what I choose. That's helping investments in to that go towards Black African Americans. Because make no mistake, I don't know Black American. I damn sure I'm not. I'm being careful about putting any investments in that community because I'm a capitalist and I want my money. I don't do charity. I do capital, and capital must be restrained at times by the people, so that way it serves both the people and the individuals. It's a balancing act that goes back and forth. And as I said at the very beginning of this, capital has gone too far. And as we now know, it is the Southern planters, or at least the spirit of the Southern planters, who want to make themselves kings and queens and have this whole court thing and completely destroy the idea of the secular nation called the United States of America, which means usually always leads to more, and bloody more war. So those are your three choices. Mr. Jay Z will be forward after I check that the money's in my account. It'll the lawyer will then forward you the $1 million. You do as you wish. Put it to charitable donations, or put it in your pocket, or split it part pocket, part charitable donations. You have flippin' earned it. Without a doubt, you have earned it. For you served as the one thing that they that they do not want to see. They, by those ones who wish to hold Black American culture down. You represent competence. Competence means that their externalizational lies don't hold up, as you've seen by the idiots I've been dealing with, thinking they can spit their negativity to hide their own BS. So, as I said, John, you got involved. This is the Game of Thrones. This is the great game. And the great game is terrifying. 2.3 billion people's lives are at stake. Directly. Indirectly, probably another 3 billion. Are you terrified yet? It's your actions to stab me in the back almost have their. It's precarious right now. This is some bullshit. This isn't hood shit. This is the great game. In the great game, you win. And you know the rest of that statement. I'll be giving you a call tomorrow. My money better be there. Well, we'll have a conversation. It'll be nice and polite. We won't speak of this. But where you were going to get a cut, I am taking all 100% of it. I'm assuming that they've paid you far multiples of more, anyways. But I will be needing some financial products anyway. See, home office, you can make your money, some of your money up via the home office, and you've made money off of me, a fair chunk, off of helping out Miss Cross as she was so happy to state, and then also the ALU. So you've made enough capital off of me without getting without my slice. Speaking of the ALU, Mr. Smalls, Mr. Smalls, I hope you're still working to get other Amazon warehouses under the fold, under the unionization fold, because Mr. Bezos, remember after he got back off of his dopamine high, pretty much just views you as just cogs to squeeze. It's up to you to go get your cut. That means he's going to try to string it out for the next 3 years until you hopefully win back 24, which we'll get to in a bit. But in the meantime, you're still doing 2 hours worth of the dues are no more than 2 hours of of capital, and you're to use that 2 hours and create at least, what is it, 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours of value add. And the thing is, it's why it's capped. What was it, 5, 10%? It's capped at the amount, well, it's 5% of money that can be paid to the top of the union, because your goal is to make the union more money. Train people so that way, and they can only get into ALU by going through Amazon. So they're part of the ALU. Maybe they go off someplace else. They still pay in the ALU dues, but you're still getting them $6. I mean, 8 hours worth of value. Maybe it might be more training. Maybe it might be links to other things, but you need to get them 6 to 8 hours of value per month for their $2. The more warehouses you can get, the more money you can make. So just purely from your selfish best interest, the more money you make your people, the more money you and the management team get to put in your pocket. And the better the management team feels, the people feel that you've helped them. They're more of a bonus they're going to give you. It's in your selfish best interest to make your people, to help their lives. And then it becomes easier. The Ferrari sells itself. And then we can get these a few laws changed where instead of those assholes being able to drag out negotiations for 6, 8, 12, 2 years, they got 6 months to make this shit happen. And if they want to walk away, well, guess what? You get everything. Everything you asked for. That's what you need to start working on. As far as the books, it might be done local, might be done federal, but we don't know whichever. But what it does need to happen is these BS that they're pulling needs to stop. Just understand, if Bezos could make it all robots, it would be all robots. Those numbers of humans are going to go down faster than a waterfall. So you need to keep unionizing as many people as possible, so that way they can become part of the ALU. Then maybe they go off for 2, 3 years, they go to another company, but they're still paying their ALU dues, and you're still creating value. And people start going, "Ooh, I want to be part of the ALU." They get, bus tickets are cheaper, things are cheaper. They, buy great buying power. They get discounts at stores. helps local small businesses wherever the ALU is at. Oh yeah, you make it once. People want to be part of that union. Unions compete to say who can help their people better. Now they're making sure that they something they fall off that they got to help hand up, especially, and then watch out because the next thing you know, where the you do helping in one way, they'll try to take it away. You know, the big corps and the greedy oligarchs will try to take it away. What your previous union persons helped create, like, you know, the work week, which you see that trying to screw the up on that, or unemployment, because it's going to be the baseline. What the other guys put, what they put, like the unemployment insurance. Then you might add a little extra unemployment insurance to get those extra 3 months, because you know it might be technically 6 months before somebody can get a job after they transition during the firing or something, or a layoff. Well, we really know it's 9 months. You get people into voting, but you can't tell them how to vote. But just sit there and say, hey, these are the things that both sides are saying. You make your decision. So you make sure that you are a good steward of their capital and their time. You're alleviating the pain that some of these jackasses want to create. The pendulum needs to swing back to labor. Because when the pendulum is all the way over to capital, well, well, some funny dude with a mustache was the last time that happened. And they're still thinking that. This is made even worse because they're thinking, oh, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. Oh, boy. We're going to create as much chaos as Jesus is save the day. And screw you guys. I'm getting raptured. What the heck? No, you ain't. Not even close. You can't have that much death and destruction and think, oh, well, I'm special. Nah. That's not how that works. Now we get into the good parts, I guess. Next week on the 14th, well, Donald Trump he blew through the 8th or 13th or whatever the day he was supposed to turn over documents. At that point, Mr. Trump has stated that he is above Congress. He is above the law. He doesn't have to listen to the law. He doesn't have to listen to Congress. Yeah. Not. Madam Speaker Pelosi, the attack on your husband was a direct attack by Donald Trump. Now, I know you are very much a Christian and a Catholic. And as much as you would want to, you hold back and you maintain your heart. I've seen that, and I could see the pain. Where there's part of you that just wants revenge, but you know that's wrong because that takes you from the closeness to God. Because revenge is hate, which is lower self, is the animal self, and it is not the greater self. But the greater self is justice, and the justice is equal balance. That's not revenge. It's just this was injustice. And we agree, all. Any human should agree. But then you see in their willingness to placate a toddler tyrant, as it seems to be all tyrants seem to be are, to gain laughs at somebody else's hurt with arrogance. You know, Carrie Lake is far more dangerous than Trump. The hate that oozes out of her, the arrogance, and I'm an arrogant kind of dude. I am full of myself, make no mistake about it. But the hateful arrogance that slid off of the fork of her tongue was so appalling. And then you have one Republican after the next Republican being cheered on by their big money donors. Give them that fear so we can get our greed. More fear, greed for us. Not anymore. Not anymore. The votes will be counted. The time is almost here. We will know the election results and we will accept those results. But you will do your constitutional duty according to the 14th Amendment. Leader Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, especially Speaker Pelosi, you're going to have to speak to Leader Schumer, because Leader Schumer is not a person who wants to do this fight. He likes to be a little chummy and let's go along to get along. Let's get in a little bit. Hey, everybody, let's do this. And actually, I like that style because that's kind of mine usually, until someone pokes me just out of spite. Then they find out that chumminess is not so nice. Like, nice because I want to be nice, not because I have to be nice. Meanwhile, you have Mr. Mitch McConnell, who he's blatantly said he sits there behind Kentucky. I don't have to give a damn what do you think. I don't work for you. I work for Kentuckians, but he doesn't even work for the Kentuckians. Remember when the COVID's like, you don't take out all that money. How dare you? You're supposed to be poor and broke. And then I'm supposed to give you some emotions, and you're going to think, oh, yep. As he's, Kentucky would be it's their utopia. And if the funny thing is, it wasn't for Fort Knox and the money they get from the federal government, Kentucky to them is absolute bastion. Oh, look, everyone's absolutely broke. Poorest state in the nation. Proud of it. Love to turn the rest of the country into the same hellhole. It's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful state. Give them more, externalize their fear, internalize their greed. Well, so you're going to have to stand up. And you're going to, 14th Amendment states insurrectionists have to be dealt with. Those individuals, it has been stated in the court of law, they all believe they were working in agency to the former President Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States. Therefore, they aided and abetted all those senators and congresspersons who did not vote to impeach. And if the January 6th committee has evidence, then you are not doing your constitutional duty to remove them from Congress and forever barring them from holding office in the United States of America again. For they, therefore, are traitors. But, as stated in my letter, it would be too disruptive to the country if you removed all of them. But leadership should lead, and when Mitch McConnell did not vote to impeach an individual who broke the Constitution, they fell in line. If he had voted to say, if he said, I am voting to impeach, then he would have been impeached. But Mitch McConnell's like, well, I can hear this because he put himself and party and his greed above the country and the Constitution. But right now the January 6th committee has not shown the data to show that there are congressional persons involved yet. And actually, they really don't need data anymore, because those persons said they were working in agency to the former president, and we already have knowledge that that Kevin McCarthy knew, that Mitch McConnell knew, that the top three leadership in both the House and the Senate knew. And it's just like if you're dealing with a child, which technically they're children, 70, 80-year-old children, if you allow them to get away with something, especially as egregious as this, they do not get better, they get worse. If you recess this Congress before holding those senators and congresspersons to an account, it will be a dereliction of duty. And from there, China will say America is weak. And within 2 to 3 years, they're going over the Taiwan Strait. And from there, billions will die. And this is not hyperbole or over or whatever. I don't do that. That's not my thing. That is just pure logic. Just as Kant used the dialectical, just as Hegel used the dialectical. It's just pure logic, both on emotion and logic. History is called. Are you going to have the courage to actually answer? They're not going to get better. He's got them so whipped up into believing their hate. You can't break the fever by hoping it just goes away. Not this time. They will think, well, I got away with it. I'll just keep on going. If you don't hold a child to an account, they don't get better. They will then think they have power, that their temper tantrums, their emotes, Congress has the power of inherent contempt of Congress. Trump is going to try to obviously he's going to try to conflate this as a political situation. Well, technically it is. He's going to say Congress doesn't have the right to detain and bring him to the Capitol. He's wrong. Steel yourself, Madam Speaker, Leader Schumer. Because what just happened to your husband will happen to millions of Americans and eventually billions of world citizens. The world is looking to you to lead. History is called. The kids see it as blatant and blindly and as sitting on the playground and dealing with a bully. As you get older, you just call it politics. But they know this isn't politics. This is something different. This is a bully. And they're watching their parents just lose their absolute frickin' marbles. They see the hate when the people put on those red hats. Irony. Didn't we fight the redcoats? Double irony. Yeah, technically, I would have been one of them. On the 14th of November, Donald J. Trump, with a high probability, will not show up, or if he does show up, he'll try to be late or whatever. He is not to be given 1 second. All of this negotiating ends. Mr. Kinzinger, all he's doing is using his lawyers to try to figure out what you're going to ask, what kind of questions you're going to ask him. If he is 1 atomic clock second late, or he steps in and then steps out, any other BS he tries to pull, he steps into that room, he does not leave until you're done with questions. He gets a bathroom break about an hour, of course, because we're still humans. We still have compassion, and besides, everyone else needs a bathroom break for listening to his BS. But if he returns and he's atomic second late again, he is not to be late 1 second every time he returns, because he thinks he's in control of this situation, and he is not. He tried to overturn the Constitution of the United States, backed by the hedge funds and 1%, who are steady marching, trying to overturn the Constitution through a constitutional convention, so they can turn America into a corporate theocratic oligarchy, which always leads to the death of the many. And the shining city on the hill will be no more. Now he's going to call up his supporters, and they're going to roll up with all their guns and all this and that. I'm hoping there's more Americans who will look at those nutcases and goes, "You need to put them things down there, Sonny. They're sticking by the law. Well, the rule of law is not a rule of man." Because they got them all kind of twisted 6 ways of Sunday, thinking that they're talking, they yell, "Constitution, Constitution, Constitution." Have you read that book document? Blah, 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 blah. I got my First Amendment, got my First Amendment. Have you read what the First Amendment says? It says I can say shit, does it? Do you understand why you can say stuff? Well, because I can. Yeah. Jesus. Yep. And Muhammad and this dude and that dude and the Baha'i. Yeah, that's what that First Amendment means. It's basically a Mexican standoff, so to speak, keeping everyone from doing stupid stuff, keeping the Muslims from being too stupid and thinking they're going, "We do Sharia." No, you ain't. Keep the Christians from going, "Well, Jesus said you're supposed to." That's nice, but humanistically, we're saying that's you're being a jerk. Secularists kind of, that's too stupid, and you have the anarchists that everything should be free. No, we can't be going that way either. The brilliance of the Constitution of the United States of America is it constrains the id. It constrains the worst part of our animal selves. Coming out of enlightenment, it says these are the things we are as humans, not just man beings or women beings, not just animals, not just ids. We are of thought, we are of heart, we are of higher self. And this is what it takes to constitute a place of higher being. And the first statement they say is, these are the 10 tools that you will use to hold us together. And then when the South came and did all those crazy things, they added a couple more to make, these are the tools we'll need necessary to hold us together. And we have never used those tools, especially the 13th and 14th Amendment, properly. They've used the 13th Amendment to freaking enslave people left and right. But we've never truly used the 14th Amendment. It needs to be used now. Because this is what needs to happen if we want to save the democracy, we want to save the world, we will answer history's call. On the 14th, Mr. Trump's not going to show up, and if he does, he's going to be late or whatever. You hold him to contempt, inherent contempt of Congress. The toddler needs to be held down. January 6th is going to take several days. They're going to do what they got to do. Then they're going to present their findings. Then Leader Schumer and Leader Pelosi, before these Congress can leave to go to Christmas break or whatever, you're going to impeach. If the data shows that there were congresspersons, even if there weren't congresspersons, if there were congresspersons who actually aided and abetted directly, those ones who were doing the tours before, showing the insurrectionists which way to go, because the media is starting to call it a riot. Nah, dude, it was a coup d'etat. It was an insurrection. Get the words right. Quit BSing. Quit playing it down. First, you're going to once you get those in the one bucket, then you're going, and if there wasn't any, that's fine. You still need to go after leadership. Top 3. They aided and abetted a coup d'etat on the United States of America. They allowed the president's agents to step foot on the House and Senate floor and did not hold the former president, the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, to an account. Just as when you're weeding in the garden and you're dealing in the dirt and you pull up the weeds, if you don't get to the root, the weed will just sprout back up. We know that externalized personalities turn others into what are called flying monkeys to do their bidding. Uses a combination of positive negative to inflame the amygdala and keep them angry. Then he took that anger and sent them down to the Capitol. He was doing all of this on purpose. And you have not held that man to an account, and you're telling the next person they can do so. And right now, the only thing that's holding America together, that's holding America from turning into an autocracy, is the good man who still chooses to believe in the Constitution and acts as if the Constitution is still in effect, but by precedent, legal precedent, the Constitution and the Magna Carta are not. $3 billion people are depending on you, Leader Schumer, and you, Madam Speaker, to uphold the Constitution so that we can uphold the Magna Carta. Because King Charles doesn't want to uphold the contract with the state. And we can't be having that either. But if the Constitution is not upheld, then the contract with the state can't be upheld. $3 billion people, almost 3 billion people are relying on the city on the hill. Their hopes, their dreams, and yes, we're going to screw it up. We're Americans, that's what we do. But parts of it, but this one part, we need to hold a tyrant, a toddler tyrant, to an account. Kevin McCarthy can never hold, he can never hold the Speaker's gavel. He shouldn't even be in Congress. Mitch McConnell, he's spent decades destroying the Constitution. And he bets you don't have the guts to impeach him. Because here's the thing, all of those other senators that voted to not impeach, they don't get to vote. It's strictly on the Democrats, and they can howl all they damn well want, or we will impeach them all. Steel yourself. This is not overreach. This is not weakness. This will take courage of Herculean effect. and they're betting you'll blink. How do I know? Look how hard they work to try to subvert me. I terrify them. Hell, I'd terrify me if I was in their shoes as well. I'm not supposed to exist. A man of royal blood, near living in America. See, old Miss Lewis, when she pulled her BS, because she was always grew up in the 1%, so she was, no one was in her class, so she can play all of her games. It's like she ran to Kathleen Kennedy. Oh, this must be flipping her brain. You are not on my class level, lady. You are beneath me. Then they're trying to control Prince Harry through Lady Markle. That's not going to last much longer. Not the thing, their marriage will last. Will contain Miss Markle. But Hollywood thinking it controls the Royal House of Windsor. They're sadly mistaken. Because we allow that to happen, as we have seen with how much money she's taken to China and then doing their little bidding as they slowly start squeezing us psychologically and physically. She figures, oh, we got more bodies we can throw at it. And we'll be technologically better because we got more brains, because they're undercutting the belief of our kids and our schools, because the Voss getting our taking our public funding and giving it to private institutions. They go, screw that. That stops. And then the Democrats are so feckless because they take so much corporate money. So you see, if you truly, truly, truly want to stop this, which I believe you do, but I'm not sure if you and Leader Schumer and the rest of the Democrats actually have the strength to do so. You will first impeach the top three leadership of both the House and the Senate. I keep trying to not say this, but screw it. This is what needs to be done. Then you pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And if they want to howl and scream and do all they want, they can do it in the next session. But they're going to have to win in 2024 fair and square. Let's see how that works out. Let's see if they really have the good ideas that they say they have. Or is it because of gerrymandering and all the BS that they've pulled is the real reason that they have power? The people have lost their voice. The people have lost their power. The people's voice must be returned. The people's voice must be returned so the people may have their power. History has called you. Do you heed the call? And do not go farther than voting rights, because that will be an overstretch. Voting rights and voting rights only. His Excellency, Misuzulu Kazewelelithini. I butchered that. I'm American. I call upon you to South Africa and the African nations. It was Shaka Zulu who held off the British. Irony is the same horn attack the Nazis used in World War II. Isn't that so funny? Zuma betrayed you with his behavior. He was easily bought out and did state capture and made everybody's lives worse. Under my mandate, South Africa is one of the places I would wish to invest in, but I cannot invest in a kleptocracy. You must hold the ANC to an account. They must do better. In Brazil, Lulu, congratulations for holding off Bolsonaro. There will be much work ahead. He has done much damage. He is a hateful, spiteful, angry little man. No matter what his height is, I don't know what his height is, and I don't really care. Corruption based on bigotry of fear. Build a state that everyone is proud to live in. Saudis have run towards the BRICS because they have kept our gas prices up on purpose. Okie dokie. What is that saying? The axe forgets, but the tree remembers. Yeah. Iran is testing out its stuff, its weapons in Ukraine. Russia's trying to get Iran drawn in, so China gets drawn in. Then which way will Pakistan, an Islamic Republic? Irony is after all of these years, the mullahs finally realized, oh, we got the judiciary, we actually have power. Oh, that caught them. So they stopped Khan to maintain their own power, which is the way their system was set up. Took them only, 80 years to figure it out. Because they were too busy looking towards the Iranians doing. Yeah, from the outside, Islamist, you guys don't know how to frickin' get along with anybody. Because that's the the Medina Mecca Islam. More the warlord, less the prophet, more the warlord. That's why he said, oh, what I said back in Mecca the first time. Oh, that peace stuff. Yeah. I kill you. You get all American freedom of speech. It's a pain in the neck. I know. Modi, as a former Commonwealth colony, you're one of the BRICS, one of the greatest, fastest growing economies. You have a China problem as well. I do congratulate you on getting people to quit taking a crap out in the open in the year 2000, but that gives, you know, helps bring the Gandhi dream of, the untouchables. They'll still be technically considered untouchable, but moving India into a new age. But you're becoming a fascist. You're becoming a dictator. It's the reason we move people out. Power corrupts. There is no ifs, ands, or buts to it. Not always, but usually. Especially that type of power. My type of power is kind of like, yeah. But where you have the full power of all the levers, states, the parliament, the police force, and then your anger that you always is boiling right under the surface. Hindu nationalism never works, man. It doesn't help the people. It starts off that way. It's the love bomb phase. Here's some good positive stuff. And then you start squeezing a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Then you're 100 meters away from where you thought you wanted to be. And you become the jerk-offs. You become the Islamists that you so despise. Says Hinduism, the Swamis, do they want this? Are they thinking that's going to give them power? Buddhism came from India. We'll see. Boy, I'm going to butcher this one. Your Imperial Majesty, Tenno, Emperor of Kami, Heavenly Sovereign, Naruhitu, Situ, Naruhitu. I come to you as emissary of the West, of the royal great houses, and of the lodges of light. We presently have a vested interest and long-standing friendships. Right now, the world is careening, and we ask for your assistance in restabilizing it, to bring peace, or a semblance of peace, to this world before it begins into chaos. To the Shinto they're the Guji, or probably once again butchered that one. We look to you, pray for this world. To the Shaolins, the monks of Shaolin, of the Buddha, pray for this world. To the Swamis of Hinduism, pray for this world, that we may stop this to the priests and priestesses of natural earth religions, pray for this world. And to the holy Dalai Lama, I ask for your help to pray for this world, that we can stop this madness that is careening towards us. History calls us all. How do we choose? What do we choose this world to be? America will have, in the next 2 weeks, will decide its fate. Will the city of light still stand on the hill? Or will it be dimmed and forever fall into ruin? While Xi Jinping, the chief bureaucrat, to be the head eunuch, has elevated himself to the level of Mao, he needs to elevate himself to be above Mao. It is just the way of life. He has told the elders in no uncertain terms he is in charge, and the West and the rest of the world do not matter. He is going over to Taiwan, and he will plunge this world into chaos and death. He believes we do not have the backbone to stop him. He believes, as with Chinese characteristics, anyone of Han Chinese descent therefore falls under his purview, no matter where they are in the world. And he has shown this with his police stations, with his telling other countries that they will listen to their laws, and in essence colonizing them. While I know this, we were in the West, were not very, we're conquerors. We were conquerors. We weren't pretty about it. No one ever is. That's just the way of conquest. But we learned that peace is profitable. Far more profitable, actually, ironically. Humankind, is destined for the stars. Will we destroy ourselves before we get there? Well, some might say we might have to destroy ourselves to get there. I think it's not. I think we can do this without the bloodshed. But if not, maybe man hasn't learned yet. The people of Ukraine are fighting for what we in the West have gotten too comfortable having. Prigozhin sees the blood and he is sniffing it out. He wants more death, more destruction. He sees the power. All he has to do is squeeze. Putin can't mobilize another 300,000. If he does, he'll have to squeeze his population, and the population will revolt. They're pretty close to probably wanting to revolt right now. But he has a good, for the moment, lock on information. Lock on the truth. This war has nothing to do with liberation. It's just greed. Hatred for the West. Hatred for everything. He could have just sat back, made a lot of money, and slowly squeezed the West. Did it like the smart person, but he has to play this. He wants to be Peter the Great, controller of the Eastern Orthodox Church. I guess he was going to roll up into Turkey and Constantinople. Well, that would be the next thing, technically. And then, quite honestly, there's a lot of Christians who are probably like, I wish you would have done that. But we're not going to that. Got Erdogan trying to screw the West. because he knows he's a dictator. That he goes against everything Ataturk stood for. That he absolutely, as an Islamist, he's letting inflation run so that way his people get poorer while all of his landowners get richer. Yeah, and guess who owns a lot of the land? Since he thinks he's an emperor, that would be himself. The world sits, it's teetering. So, Mr. Jay-Z, you going to answer the call? Are you going to protect the Capitol when Mr. Trump is brought in? Are you going to protect the Capitol and demand to protect the Constitution and demand that our leaders who wish to overthrow it be held to account? Are you going to build on all of those things that your ancestors, through blood and tears, built for you? Or are you going to tear it down because your ego can't deal with it? That is the ones who created the mess are the ones who are fixing the mess. But I am only here to give you an opportunity, because I am both master and slave in genetic lines. Mostly master, though. Funny how that works out. What kind of man are you, Jay-Z? You want to show you have power? Okay. Make shit happen. 3 billion people are depending on you. And you fail, well, your family is dependent on you. Their lives are now at stake. So is Mr. Rose's, and so is Mr. McMadison's. They were your agents. Failure is not an option. Success is the only one. And success is holding to an account the 45th President of the United States and his enablers, and then passing voting rights so that the American people have their voice. And from all other things that are good come from that. History is called. Only few ever have the courage to answer. Are you one of the few? Are you one of the free? Are you one of the brave? Are you one of us? Gamers, apparently the city of Kherson has been left to the Ukrainians. Unfortunately, that means 40,000 troops, Russians, have gotten away to be redeployed either to the north or to the center of the salient. Once again, I call on you, EVE Online, World of Warcraft, or whatever game you play. Prefer strategic or first-person shooter. Go back through the inventory of the Ukrainian army of the things we've sent them. They have got the M117s. One of the things I was thinking is 2x2, and they have tow missiles. And then we have, go back through whatever new equipment they have. We need to break the north part. They're afraid of the northern offensive, and they're just sending thousands of men to their deaths. And the Wagner group is taking these new recruits and just slaughtering them in the center of the salient in Bakhmut. Should we go north? Should we take Bakhmut? Or should we head south towards Azov? And then cut them off from the other direction on the east bank of Kherson. Then how do we take Crimea? Understand we're coming up to winter. How do we use that cold and the lack of the supply lines? How do we make sure we retain the Ukrainian soldier's life? For unlike Prigozhin, our generals have a solemn oath to return their men to their families. With this, or on this. You will do this in two parts. Remember that you only can use 50% of the effective range of any weapon system in your developments. You'll do first just stream of consciousness, pure thought, dump that on Reddit. This is what I think, this is a dumbass idea, blah, 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 no containment. Then you're going to do a secondary one. Oh, I hate when I can't read this name. General, head of the, fuck. The guy with the silver hair. Lieutenant General, it's going to come to me as soon as because I wrote it in scribble. I gotta love when I can't even read my own handwriting. He's going to give you 4 things that they need, that you need to hit within your strategies. Hurtling. Sorry, thank you. Please forget. Pardon me, sir. General Hurtling is going to say 4 things that are necessary within your strategies. So 1 is chaos, 1 is strategic within these 4 parts or whatever that he believes that you're going to need within your ideas. Understand that. Understand you are building ideas so the general staff of Ukraine can either hide their ideas underneath and or use your ideas in containment with their own understanding and experience. You are saving the world, gentlemen and ladies. All those hours will mean something. Putin can't last much longer if he keeps this up. And we don't want the Soviet Union to collapse. I mean, the Soviet Republic to collapse. Because that's the other thing is we got to beat them while keeping the Soviets, because they're gone, keeping the Russian Federation in its present form together. Because if it starts to splinter, then it becomes a bunch of warlords blowing each other up, which is even worse. Shoigu is under threat. I think he's a good man. Or goodish, considering. And Prigozhin. All he is hatred. This is what has happened to the great Russian Federation, the great Russian people. Kleptocrats hiding their theft with blood. Anonymous, I assume that you have been probing Belarus and the Russian firewalls. We need to add one more. Begin your probes on the Iranian firewalls. We're not going to do anything with China. It's their thing. That's who they are. Unless it's a firewall that's in another country, such as like Kenya or something, and they're doing their BS. But China proper, we just leave it alone. That's their culture. Lie to their people. But the Iranians and the Russians and the Belarusians need to know what's going on, but not yet. Be prepared to break through. If Mr. Jay-Z can come through and we can hold account, and the leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi hold to an account and pull the roots of this insurrection up, those 2 weeks you will need to hold the line. Their intelligence services will be coming after you. And if they find you, they will assassinate you. This is now more than just hacking and stealing stuff or whatever. This is the fate of the world. It's a thing every kid dreams of, I guess, or some kids dream of. You know, if Edward Snowden had not taken the Russian citizenship, then again, he might not have had a choice to it. That will become to his behavior if he can help from behind the lines or not. We'd ask for him to come back, because he truly did what was right, even though he definitely has to pay a price. He's paid that price. But for the moment, we have to assume that he is a turncoat, unfortunately, instead of the hero that he should be. Hopefully he's clever enough to be able to do something to prove us wrong. When the call comes, break their firewall. The Iranians will be counting on you. The Belarusians, the Russians, the Ukrainians, the world is counting on you. President Xi of China, of the People's Republic of China, head of the Communist Party of China. We Americans will be taking care of some business. Do not, for an instant, or for a blink of an eye, think we are weak or soft. Our generals have a solemn oath to return the bodies and the lives of the people to their homes. And if you make them break their solemn oath, we will make sure that you pay dearly. We'd rather have peace, but we are always prepared for war. Let us compete semi-peaceably, as we always do. It is the great game, by the way. But do not interfere. Do not think for a moment that the United States has faltered. We are still the United States of America. And don't you forget it. Slava Ukraine. Glory to democracy. And may the flag forever wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave.